up, guys? So today we're gonna install some parts on my buddy Tim's Hellcat. He's got the Legmaker intake to put on and the Billet Technologies oil catch can. So we're gonna go ahead and install that here. We got the filter, carbon fiber intake here. We got the outerwears for the filter. If you like drive in the rain, you want to put that on so it doesn't suck in the water. We got the Billet Technologies oil catch can and all the fittings and clamps to mount the intake, the cold air intake on the car. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. I'm also gonna do a comparison with intake temps with the stock airbox, and also a comparison with the sound, because with the Legmaker it's definitely a lot louder. You hear the supercharger a lot more with the Legmaker intake over the stock intake. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so as you can see, it's 93 degrees out today here in Michigan, so it's hot. So we're checking out the air intake temps, and when we started the car they were at 180 degrees. Now they're at 168 degrees. As we drive they get cooler, obviously. So I wanted to do a comparison with the stock airbox and then the Legmaker and see which one runs cooler as far as intake air temps go. I know the stock airbox is enclosed and is designed probably to keep the, your temperatures cool, but who knows, the Legmaker might be a better option as far as keeping your air intake temps down, but we're gonna find out here shortly. So as you guys can see, as we drive, the intake air temps go down. So now we're at 152 degrees, but like I said, it's 94 degrees out today. So this is, a really hot day to be testing this. But just wanted to show you guys the difference between the Legmaker and the stock airbox. So next, I'm gonna put the camera on the outside of the car and do a couple pulls for you guys, and that way you can hear the difference between the stock airbox and the Legmaker, and you should be able to hear a significant difference in sound. You'll hear the whine a lot more with the Legmaker. So that's what we're gonna do next. And again, we're down to 143, 145 degrees on the intake air temps. The further we drive, the cooler it gets, obviously, because we're moving and air is flowing. So this bolt here is an 8mm, this here is an 8mm, and so is that. So you undo those three 8mm bolts along with these screws here, which are also the 8mm bolt, and this whole top hat here comes off, and then you'll be able to take after you remove this one, you'll be able to take the whole airbox out of the car, and then all this will be removed. So I'm going to do that now and then get back to it.
Shit out of this car once already.
Alright guys, so this stock airbox now out of the car. This here is the air inlet for the stock airbox, and this thing here is really hard to get out. Basically there's this little push pin here holding it in right there, and once you get the stock airbox out, you got to pull this tube out. And this thing, like I said, this thing here is really hard to get out. So you on a charger, 2016 and up charger, you're gonna have this, and basically There's no screws holding it in, just this push pin here. But once you get everything out, you gotta just reef on this and pull as hard as you can. You're not gonna break anything, but basically this just goes in between the headlight and the grill here. Basically right behind the emblem is where the inlet is for this. So it sits in there like this. So basically, like I said, just when it's in there, you'll see it, it'll be like this. You just grab it and pull as hard as you can and it'll come out. But like I said, it's definitely hard to get out, but that's what you got to do in order to install the Legmaker properly. So once you get your stock airbox out, you're going to want to install the mass airflow sensor and the oil, I guess you'd say, overflow tube connector, however you want to say it. Basically, you got to install those both into the top of the Legmaker intake. Make sure that your mass airflow sensor is, good, facing the right way to where it's picking up air. Make sure it's not turned so where it's parallel with the air coming in and out. Make sure it's, your blue tip is right in the middle. And then, so yeah, once those sensors, or the sensor and the plugs in there, then you're ready to go ahead and put your boot on here onto the intake manifold, and then we're going to go ahead and bolt the intake up to that, and then put your filter on at the end. Alright, so once you get your coupler here on the intake snout, you're going to want to go ahead and tighten this down with a 10mm socket and get that tight before you put the intake tube onto this end. So now that you got your coupler on there with the clamps, you want to go ahead and take your filter, slide the filter on the intake first before you put the whole intake, cold air intake snout on the intake itself. So go ahead and put the filter on, tighten it down, and then we're ready to bolt this all up and call it a day. Alright guys, there you have it. There's an install on a Legmaker intake, cold air intake. Like I said, the last part is putting the whole intake tube in here and clamping it down with the clamps here, and then routing your blow-by oil tube, and make sure you have no gaps around any of these here, and also here make sure this is tightened. I wouldn't tighten this down too much just because it is carbon fiber and you don't want to crack the carbon fiber. This one I would tighten down all the way. This one just make sure there's no room for air to get in there. But that's it guys for the Legmaker intake on a 2018 Dodge Charger Hellcat. Next, we're going to install the Billet Technologies oil catch can on the Charger. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this off, pop the blow-by oil line off both the top of the valve cover and on the intake itself, and then we're going to use this bolt here, and they provide a nut for you to use, and basically you bolt this bracket right to there and it's an easy install. And just like that, the Billet Technology oil catch can is installed. Like I said guys, this is a 17mm nut that you use a ratchet wrench to put on, and then that's on and solid. This one goes to the top of the valve cover, the other one runs down and goes to the intake snout, and make sure they're both clipped on and you're ready to go. And that's it. So that completes today's install guys, of the Legmaker intake on a 2018 Dodge Charger Hellcat. Also, the Billet Technology oil catch can we installed as well. I recommend using one of these on any supercharged or turbocharged cars that cause a lot of blow-by oil to come back into the intake. This prevents it, catches it, and I empty mine about once a month is what I do as far as emptying my oil catch can. And there's not too much in there, but it's definitely better to catch it than it is to go back into the intake and let it just sit in there. Now we're gonna go for a drive and see if we can tell a difference in the sound. We should be able to hear the supercharger a lot more with the Legmaker intake. So I'm gonna strap the GoPro on the hood and go for a ride and see if you guys can hear a difference in the whine. So after the install, you can see the intake air temps are at 150 degrees and it's still 91 degrees outside, so it's definitely gone down and we haven't even moved yet. Alright guys, that completes today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments below if you heard a difference in sound with the Legmaker over the stock intake. We sure did. And I don't know if you can tell in the video, but we definitely can tell inside the car and outside the car that it's a lot louder with the intake. And then obviously the Billet Technologies oil catch can looks good on there, and it's definitely a must for all boosted cars. I recommend that. Another thing I wanted to point out is back when he got this car, I painted these emblems with the Redeye, and I was like, oh, that's cool, it'll be different. I haven't seen any cars, you know, or Hellcats do this. So he was one of the first ones to have the Hellcat badge with the Redeye, and then just so happened the other day Dodge releases their new Redeye Hellcat Challenger. I think that's pretty funny, so just wanted to point that out. But yeah, this is a 2018 Hellcat Charger, and that completes today's install video on the Legmaker intake with the Billet Technologies oil catch can. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure you browse the channel and hit subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.